Tonight I'm going to show you the new Bonefied Tools hydraulic balancer remover and installer. I'm going to show you how easy this installs a balancer. Now I just did the video about fitting and honing the balancer for the right press fit. Now I'm going to just show you pressing the thing on. Now up till now I was using one of these types that requires you to hold this and turn the inside one and it draws it on. And these work great. You got to keep them lubed up really good, take good care of them that way because you're wrenching on the threads to turn the thing in. But it was never something I looked forward to using like I do this new one. I'm going to be honest with you. I used to not like to do this when we were balancing cranks and we would have the crank on the machine and it just was not something I looked forward to doing, pulling them off and putting them on, and now that thing just makes it a breeze. So I'm just going to show you really quick how to draw one of these on. First thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to put a little CMD3 on the snout. That's going to draw it in as it goes. And then I have a little assembly lube. I'm going to put, where's my assembly lube? Put a little assembly lube on the seal. Doesn't need a ton, just a little bit. And I've already checked the seal fit and everything. I've checked the seal fit to the balancer. I don't necessarily use the dowel pins on these. I drill them oversized, and I have a dummy that I slide on and then tighten up the front cover because these holes are not always in the perfect spot. So you can take the dowels out, do whatever you want. It does kind of hold everything together nice. This is a 3-piece cover, but then when you're done and you put it on, you should be able to slide this on and off and you see a perfect seal witness. And then it's just a homemade crank tool, multi-tool. So now I'm going to take a little bit of that CMD number 3 and the same thing, I'm just going to put it on the inside of the balancer. And I'm going to take a little bit of gasket maker and shoot it right in the keyway. The reason for that is if it can leak if you don't do that, because that is more or less a pathway straight in. So I just put a little bit on there. It can't hurt. So I get it close. It's now sitting on the pilot. Now I'm going to take the Bonefied Tools installer. I don't think I'm going to need the spacer. And I've got it relaxed. And basically I'll bring this in so I can get the maximum amount of stroke. Snug that right in there to the crank. One thing I should add is always chase those threads on the crankshaft. Reason being, if this crank was shot blasted, cleaned, whatever, there could be stuff in there. So I'm just going to snug this thing up. And you'll see, just drawing that balancer right on. I mean, it's just effortless. And you come to the end, and I came to the end. Now what I want to do is I want to make sure I'm at the actual end of the balancer install. So I can just tighten this the rest of the way, or you can just spin this around a few times. Either way. I just want to make sure that the balancer is all the way on there. It just wasn't that I came to the end of the throw of the tool. Nope, it's on there. So you can see she's playing tight. So amazing tool for a guy who's doing this a lot. And you know, if you're doing crankshaft work, you're installing balancers, and then you might have to take the balancer back off to install heavy metal and everything. It just makes it so it's not that miserable job that you avoid, you know. And another thing I do like about it is, my thoughts are that because this tool doesn't require you to be twisting and torquing on threads, I don't really think it has to be lubricated, so you're not getting your hands all full of assembly lube or ARP lube or number 3 or whatever. This actually has a drive, it's a different size, but it has it's broached for a hex key. But, you know, you don't have to be lubing all this stuff up. In my opinion, I don't know, maybe they do recommend you do it, but if the threads are nice, you know, the fact that the drawbar inside of here is just pulling, I don't really see any compelling reason to put lube on it, so it just keeps the whole process a lot cleaner. But that is from Bonefied Tools, and definitely one of the best things I've ever got as far as taking a miserable job and making it into really something you kind of enjoy. I mean, that's, you know, it's just so gratifying pulling the thing on there, and then taking them off is just as easy. You flip it around the other way, then it draws the opposite direction. It's pulling this out. You just simply put that on the 3 bolts or 2, whatever your configuration is, and it draws it right off. Again, you might have to take and spin this in a little bit to complete the pull, but because of the stroke on this. But what an amazing tool. So thanks to Bonefied Tools for that. They've always been a big help to our industry as far as coming up with good problem-solving tools. Their cam bearing installer, which is similar to the one I have, except I probably should just get rid of all that and then just buy one of theirs because their tooling is so much better. They've got the cam bearing broach. So very, very innovative tools, time-saving, and money makers. You know, they're money makers because time is money in the shop. And if you can do this more streamlined, you know, you're doing a couple things. You're making more money if you're doing flat rate jobs, and you're saving the customer money if they're paying book time for you to fit cam bearings, and you're able to take that tool of theirs, go through and broach cam bearings just ever so little and make the cam spin, and you're not spending hours on that. I mean, in a perfect world, would you index the cam tunnel? Yes. Does that always exist that you can do that? No, there's a lot of platforms that don't have oversized cam bearings, and you really can't, you know, fix the cam tunnel. So great tools. Jamie and the gang over there at Bonefied, thank you very much for that. And that's how it works, and that's how quick it is. Amazing I can draw it out into this long video, how quick it actually takes. But then you should be able to reach in there and a little bit of silicone. So it pushed it all the way through and sealed up that keyway. Thanks for watching. Any questions? Drop them down below. I appreciate your time. Thank you.